My name is Dr. Liam Schubel, and welcome to another edition of Schubel Vision Elite Interviews, where today we'll be interviewing Dr. Thom Gelardi, the founder of Sherman College of Chiropractic, and I'm joined here with my friend Dr. Frankie Hahn and Dr. Judd Nogrady of the Schubel Vision Elite team. Enjoy the interview. So who was the first donor to Sherman College of Chiropractic?
It was surprising that I wrote a couple paragraphs for a publication Sid Williams put out. It was sort of a tabloid newspaper type thing, not a magazine, not today's Chiropractic, that there would be this college and this is what it would stand for. And to Peter Hugler, who I had never heard of, from Switzerland, sent me a check for $5,000.
Wow.
Which was a lot of money. So that just sounds like the right kind of a college, and here's a donation.
And Peter Hugler, who was
Hugler.
that? Who was that? Doctor of chiropractic?
Yeah, it was a doctor of chiropractic there. And later on, toward the very end of the time that I was at Sherman, he came to visit us.
Oh, wow.
So we got to meet him.
Now,
Very nice person, but just interesting how that worked out.
Yeah. So you started the school and you named it Sherman College of Chiropractic. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then you changed the name to Sherman College of Straight Chiropractic. What was that about? Okay.
I never expected quite the battle between the straights and the mixers. And but a big battle ensued. There was a bill in South Carolina Assembly that you had to be a member of the CCE. The college had to be accredited by the CCE in order to stay in existence. And we were trying to emphasize the difference between what CCE stood for, that we were different. And the problem was not with Sherman, it was with their standards, that it was a standards problem. They didn't have standards that accommodated for our kind of a college.
Right.
So Tom Bayan, who was one of our big supporters, left his estate to Sherman College, a very big estate. He said to me, why don't you include the word straight chiropractic? And as you know, that sounds like it would just fit into the scheme of things. And so that's why we put it in there. Now they took the name straight out of the name, and I think it was the right thing to do. Because at one time, chiropractic was the entity, and then there were adjuncts to it. And so we were straight without the adjuncts. But today, there are no mixers. So without mixers, you can't have, what's the point of having straight?
Right.
Because there are no mixers today. They're not using adjuncts. In fact, the adjustment, if they're using an adjustment, it's an adjunct. Because their thing is to treat diseases. Wow. And they're practicing medicine.
Yeah.
Totally. Mm-hmm. So it's very appropriate. And I like in the profession, and I didn't do this, I don't know who did, but I don't think I did. Well, I think maybe I contributed to it, actually. From reading Ayn Rand, in one of her quotes, she said, "Nothing can be great or beautiful unless it's made of one central idea, and that idea sets every detail." That's in the Fountainhead. So I was talking about the central idea, and that idea has to be, you have to relate everything to that one idea. Even I used to, unconsciously, before I knew about Ayn Rand, wonder about my conversation with a patient. What did that have to do with your mission? So I was already mission-oriented, but she crystallized it for me, and so on. But I do like that we're subluxation-centered. And there's a debate going on. I usually come out on the losing end of this right now, but 50 years from now, they'll be saying, yeah, it's time to adopt it. Now, I don't believe we should be saying vertebral subluxation. I think we should say subluxation. But some people find that, well, you know, you could subluxate your knee and you could subluxate this and so on. But many times when we adopt a term, and if you get on the internet and look up subluxation, the first thing that comes up is a chiropractic definition. So it's already half sold already. And if we don't begin teaching them that in medicine, your stomach could be subluxated and so on, but it's a totally different concept than when a chiropractor said subluxation. This is chiropractic. Many professions use the same terms, but they mean different things in different professions. So I just say, and we say, what is a subluxation? A subluxation is a condition of a vertebra. What is a vertebral subluxation? Well, it's a condition of a vertebra. You already said that. I don't know.
Yeah, the double speak.
Yeah. So anyway, I was glad to see subluxation, straight, come out of Sherman's name. And because it has no relevance today. No one even understands what you're talking about.
Right. It certainly has a different connotation than initially.
When there were mixers.
That's right.
But there are no mixers.
Now, I understand that at some point when you were in the development of Sherman College, you had a meeting with David Palmer. What happened during that meeting? What was that like?
Well, that was my first direct run-in with him. But first of all, David Palmer was B.J. Palmer's son. Mm. And when Palmer died, he became the president. And those who know the history can look into that history. That's a story in itself. After my idea in starting the college was, I felt like I was an unknown in chiropractic. I served in the Representative Assembly, South Carolina representative, but that was not a great place to get known. So I said, now how could I get the story of Sherman out? And I said, well, it depends on who is on our board of trustees. And there's only going to be, I wanted to get enough people there to protect my job, because Jim Parker, he hadn't been fired yet, but his board fired him. Right. Sid Williams, his board fired him. Mm-hmm. So I had some relatives and lawyers and so on that were friends of mine to be on the board to protect it. But then I needed to let people know, so I got up an advisory board. But anyway, Dave Palmer, called some of the people on our board and said, Earl Powell was on our board, and he ran the magazine, The Voice for Health, and he had mostly, I would say, well, probably mostly, not exclusively, but mostly Palmer graduates and people involved in straight chiropractic. It was a great little magazine for where straight chiropractic was at back in that day. And he receives a call from Dave, and Dave said, I'm going to ruin you if you don't get off that board. He said, well, you do what you have to do. He said, I'm going to stay on the board. Oh, wow. But we had a number of people that didn't quit the board of trustees immediately when they got the call from Dave. But anyway, after we were going to open in October at Palmer's Lyceum, I think it was in August, I'm not sure, the ICA also had its big national meeting. And Dr. Sherman said, I want you to go out to there, because I was on the board of control of the ICA. Not at that time, he had already retired from there. But I want to go up to the board of control, and I've already made arrangements through the mail. And I want to go up there by myself and introduce you without you being there. And then I want to come down and get you and have you meet the board. And I don't know what he's going to say about me, but anyway, it was going to be in front of me. And for whatever reason. So anyway, so he went upstairs at the Black Hawk Hotel, and he came down and said, the board is behind in their work, and they will not have time to see you. But Dave Palmer would like to see you in his suite. And so you're going to go there by yourself and meet with Dave Palmer and some others. Well, there's a Dr. Severud from Wisconsin. And then there was Dr. Cleveland II. And I remember I was sitting, Palmer was sitting to my right, Dr. Cleveland to my left. Dr. Severud was leaning against a table in front of me. and a number of others. I think Frogley was there, and there were a number of people in the room. And so I came in, said, hello, I'm Thom Gelardi. And he said, I just wanted to ask you if you wouldn't please not open that school in October. Because he said that, no, actually, he sat on my left, and then it was Cleveland. But he said that you're going to interfere with the recruiting efforts of Palmer and, of course, Cleveland. And you're going to interfere with our ability to get donations for Palmer. Oh, and, of course, Cleveland. And, it was always, and, of course, Cleveland. And so I just ask you to go back and not start it. We don't need another college at this time. As well, I would not start the college if I thought it would help chiropractic in general, or even if I thought it would hurt Palmer, I would not start the college. I don't think it's going to hurt any of the colleges. I think it's going to help you to grow the profession. And then he took after. He said, you are a fraud.
Wow.
Yeah, he used that word. He said, you are
Wow.
a fraud. I said, well, what is fraudulent? What have I done that's fraudulent? He said, well, look at your catalog. And I had the catalog. So I've got the catalog here. He said, well, look at it. You're talking about what they're going to be studying their fourth year. You don't have fourth year students. You only have first. Yeah, I thought I'm just telling what they're going to have, not what they're having. But that's fraudulent. You should just be talking about the first, term. I said, well, I don't see it that way. And so on. So we went around, and that was the end of the meeting. And so we left.
So you had a big supportive move by David Palmer. I'm saying facetiously, right? He was very supportive to the.
Oh, an interesting thing though. When I left that meeting, I said to Betty, and Muhammad Ali was very popular at the time. I said, I felt like I was getting in the ring with Muhammad Ali. I was a 110-pound weakling. Getting in the ring with Muhammad Ali, and he gets down on his knees and tells me not to hurt him.
Isn't that something? Wow, yeah. Uh-huh.
I really felt, I'm not angry. I just feel so sorry for that poor man.
Wow, that's amazing.
I was very sorry for him.
Yeah.
Now, David Palmer's wife, Agnes, the daughter-in-law of BJ, she was very supportive of Sherman. She came to Lyceum. She donated regularly. And I'm telling you, thousands of dollars, not the biggest gifts, but it was substantial gifts. And she invited us to her home. And one time, I'll tell this story. One time she called and she said, we have someone, I won't mention his name, he makes these prosthetics for the shoes and so on. And he wants to give $1 million to Sherman College. And I said, Agnes, what he's going to want in exchange, I could not give him. And so there's no point coming. She says, no, he's not going to ask for anything. He's just going to give you $1 million. And I'd like you and Betty to come on out here, and we're going to have dinner, and he's going to be here. I said, okay, fine. So we went out to her home. Made a special trip out there. And so we had a nice dinner with the gentleman. And then after dinner, and he's dripping with gold necklaces and gold bracelets and just oozing money, He said, okay, here's the deal. And we've done this for a number of colleges. I'll give you $1 million check right up front on the deal. We provide all of the clay, the impression clays. We provide the entire service and the prosthetic device. That's all free to the college. You never have to spend a nickel on anything. And you could do it in your clinic and make even additional money. And after the person graduates, all that they buy from our place, you will get a percentage every year of all the total sales. I said, I can't do it, I wish it was something that I could do and make that kind of money, but it's not something that we can do. I had another person with the SAM, the specific adjusting machine. called and said if we would put that in this college, he would make this unusual donation. It's an upper cervical machine to adjust. And I was, well, come on out and demonstrate it and let us test it out and so on. And if it works, you don't have to give us anything. I said, but if it works, we'll do it without any, you don't have to make any donation, but any donation you'd like to give would be fine. He's, no, I don't do business that way. Okay, fine, goodbye. But then I said to a person at the accrediting agency, CC accrediting agency, who was very friendly to us, but not a chiropractor, public member. He said, Tom, anything you want, I'll represent you here because you make a heck of a lot of sense. To him, anyway. I said, okay, as one thing to start with, I think it's unfair that we compete, the schools compete, and they're selling medical things and they're teaching things that may be not even appropriate just for the money. I said, and an accrediting agency shouldn't allow that to go on. Is there anything else I could do for you? But he wasn't going to touch that.
That's something. With the money is always the deal.
The reason why, too, I found out later, he was involved in a business.
He was getting a cut.
He was. Yeah. I think he was involved in a nutrition business.
When did you first meet Dr. Reggie and Irene Gold, and what were their role in Sherman College?
Okay. Reggie was in school with me, but I didn't know him at all. And I don't think I did. And when I was in the ICA Representative Assembly, he was a representative from New York. So I get to know him then. And we usually always voted the same way. We shared values, and so to speak. So then I heard he was a great speaker. I think I may have heard him speak someplace and liked him. But we had a little group. We only had one association in South Carolina. But we did have a group of people who were more chiropractic, but we were not political at all. We were just mainly conversant about chiropractic. So I asked Reggie what he would charge to come down and speak to the group. And I think I wanted Dr. Sherman to move a little bit more to the new model. And so he said he would, and he said he'd take a donation, whatever, that's it. Well, I don't know if we had a fee set up that we're going to try to get a fee, but we did. I know he lost on the deal, Reggie did, but he came down and when he spoke, and he gave a moving talk, and I did get Dr. Sherman there. And so I asked Dr. Sherman what he thought of the talk, and he picked little things that had more to do with nothing. He couldn't think of anything because he agreed with it. There's nothing he could argue with. So he tried to argue with it and then just realized there was nothing to argue. He didn't say anything that Sherman could disagree with. So that was a help there too. But anyway, then when we were putting the school together, I thought Reggie would be a good person to teach philosophy. I think by that time I had heard him several times. And I heard Sid speak when I was a student, and students were excited about him. And it was rather religious type, or it was not chiropractic as far as I was concerned. So I never went back. But I did like the energy of Sid Williams. And in fact, we drove special down to see him before we set up practice. And he, in fact, he said, why don't you come and practice here with me in Austell, Georgia? I think he had a number of chiropractors he was setting up in practice. And I told him I really wanted to be near Dr. Sherman. And then I like the trees. There's a lot of trees there, and there weren't too many trees in Austell. And he says, what do trees have to do with it, boy? So anyway, and I didn't like what I call mysticism of some sort. But I did like Sid's energy, and I did think he was involved in doing something good for chiropractic. And even today, I look back, and I think he did a lot of good for chiropractic. I think he could have even done more good, but who am I to say? He may have done more good than ever, because those seem like those who are going to be straight are going to be straight anyway, and mixers are going to be mixers anyway. I'm not sure if that's true or not. But anyway, I wanted Reggie to teach, but I said, I can't do this over the telephone. I need to go up and see him. So I made an appointment to go up to see him. And Dr. Kale asked if he could come along with me. So that's fine. But I called Dr. Gold and I said, I'd like to come up, talk to you about being on our advisory board, where I was gathering in these names that would speak to the profession as to who we were. Because we had Dr. Duff, we had Dr. Blair, we had a lot of outstanding chiropractors on that board. And he said, Tom, if you're behind it, I know what you stand for. Just put my name down. I said, no, I've got to talk to you about it. I don't see why, but anyway, if you want to, come on up and talk. I says, okay, I will. So Mike and I went up there, and he was in the room with me, Mike was. And, well, first of all, when I knocked on the door, I think they were coming out the door at the time, Irene, I think it was my first time meeting her. I'm not sure that it was, but I think it might have been. And we went, she tells a little bit different, the story, but we both have a little different recollection of it, but it's not that different. I thought I waited a little bit later to tell him about, I wanted to join the faculty. You know, as I'm thinking now, she may have been right. The reason being, because he said, well, come on in the house. And so we went in the house, and he said, I'm thinking about setting up a postgraduate school. And he showed me the architectural drawings for the buildings and everything else. And he said, to see if I can't get people back on the right track after, I don't feel like they're getting the right kind of education. So anyway, we went out to eat, and we talked about it. And he says, I don't know, I'll let you know about that. And I said, okay. As I know, we could pay you, I think he was making around 100 grand a year, I'd say at least. I think we could pay you 15,000 a year. So I don't know what I told him at that time. I think I did tell him at that time. That's about all we could afford was 15,000 a year. And of course, money was not the issue with him anyway. So he wrote back and wrote to me and said that I'd like to become a partner with you in the school, even though it's nonprofit. He wanted to at least get an agreement that we would share the management of the school. He said, I don't think you can be successful without me. And I wrote back and I said, you know, I think I'll be much more successful with you, but I'm not going to have any partners. So he decided, well, he'd come anyway. So fortunately, he did come.
Wow.
And he absolutely contributed enormously to our success. I mean, he was an international speaker and was known all over the world. And his message and with Sherman's message was the exact same message. There was no difference in what we were talking about. So it worked out very, very well. But that's how we got to know each other. Yeah. Then Irene came down later as academic dean, and she hadn't graduated, so he came down before she graduated. And when she graduated, she came down. And of course, like you say, she's a walking encyclopedia, and she knew education from, she's had so much education herself. I mean, she knew the educational process. Yeah. And so she fit in just beautifully too.
Yeah, that was a huge win. I mean, if you're thinking on creating a top quality program, she's all about quality and education. You know, that's
absolutely.
So let me ask you this: looking back at the experience of starting Sherman College of Chiropractic, would you still name the school Sherman College?
Oh, without a doubt. Mm-hmm. I felt that he was going to go unnoticed. And even at Sherman, there are some people as you can imagine, there's some people who are the platform people, and people think of, when they think of Sherman College, when I think of Palmer, I think of certain people there. But there's a lot of people that made that possible, and that no one ever hears of them. So, and I just like to see some of the people. I don't think that there would be a Sherman College without Bob Berkowitz. Unbelievably wonderful guy. And when we were sometime in a rough spot when he was out in practice, it was not only about money, because he sent students to school and so forth, and always called anything we could do for him. He served on the board of trustees real faithfully, and some very good ideas. But sometimes I'd say, Bob, we're 200,000 short. He's let me call my bank, stay on the line, I'll get them on, join the conversation. Okay, send down 200,000. Never ask me, how are you doing? You think my investment's going to be okay? No interest, interest-free, and so on. And I'll call him the following week, I need another 100,000. Pooh, not because he had it, but he was willing and not trying to control anything, never asking for favors, but there's been a lot. There was one person on our board, not going to mention her name because I don't know whether it's right or wrong. But one time she said, my mom and dad have died, and they have left me the estate. And I don't feel like I really have done anything to have earned that estate. Now, she's a young woman. I'd say maybe 25, 30, approaching 30, maybe. I'm going to give it all to Sherman. Just let's arrange that. And I don't think you should do that. I said, you ought to at least get some advisors. And as we'd like to have, naturally we need as much money as we can get, but you ought to get some advisors and see what an appropriate amount is to make sure that you're looked after. And she's like, I just really don't feel like it's my money. I don't feel like yes, you deserve it, and so on. So she did, and then she gave a nice gift to Sherman, but she would have given the whole works to Sherman, and so on. So, but there's a lot of people who mortgaged their houses, and some sold their houses. There was unbelievable service. And there were people outside of chiropractic that did much for the college also.
Looking back, would you still use the arrows in the logo?
I don't think so. Not that I dislike them, because all they do is say Sherman College to people. But what they meant was, and the first arrow was sort of a different shade, it was a little lighter, and that was supposed to be from above down, and then from inside out. And now I see things differently. I see it's just from inside out. And there's something that connects it all up. I don't know what, but so it doesn't say the same thing it said to me at that time.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it's going to say next year.
Well, we hope you enjoyed that interview with the founder of Sherman College, Dr. Thom Gelardi. This is Dr. Liam Schubel signing off with my good friends Dr. Frankie Hahn and Dr. Judd Nogrady. And we'll see you next time on the Schubel Vision Elite exclusive interview.